You spent your whole life preparing for this one moment. It's here, guys. The Destiny 2 review you've been waiting for. You're welcome. So, I'm going to dissect this mother lover. We're going to take it, split it into categories, PvE, PvP, and just a bunch of other general information that you need to know. Now, fair warning, this is going to be a long one. Don't blush. And hopefully you enjoy it. You do. I put a lot of time into these, so if you do, leave a like, thumbs up, subscribe, all that good doodad stuff. So, we're going to start where Destiny 2 begins, and that is with the story mode. Now, right there, automatically, better than year one. Truth is, they gave an excellent performance in terms of creating these cutscenes. And what they did in such an interesting way is they gave us insight. They gave us a look into both camps, basically. You had the heroes, your protagonists and antagonists. You got to look at the internal conflict of Gaul. He was a bad guy, but he was trying to figure things out. And you kind of started to understand him. At the same time, you're rooting for your favorites. Your Ikora, your Cade, the blue guy. And some of these establish themselves, especially Cade. My dude is got the humor on lock, and he is going to go down as one of the most memorable characters in gaming. I'm calling it now. He's hilarious. They incorporated a few new characters. Failsafe, you're going to love. The Ghost gets in some friendly banter. I think they really stepped up the character development in this game, and I'm really proud of this situation. This is what Destiny 1 Vanilla should have had, and I'm glad we've gotten to this point. So the story, 2 thumbs right up, boys. Great job. Now, the gameplay. So this is where things turn around. They really missed an opportunity here because they created this narrative, this story where this guy invades your house, steals all the fucking Cheez-Its, kicks you out, and then you need to find your way back to the Cheez-Its. Basically, this is what's happening. It's about the Cheez-Its. And during this phase, you lose the light. You lose your ghost. You get knocked out of the house. And there's just so many... I feel like they got lazy in a lot of this gameplay. It just felt like filler material. Not like I was actually fighting for anything. It was just ways to waste hours of gameplay. And I really never liked it. Now, there were some cool new mechanics. There's some vehicles that you guys can have fun with. Some cool stuff. And it got better at the end, progressively, absolutely. The first few hours are just kind of like, meh. You're just rescuing and doing boring stuff. But there were really lazy experiences, one of which being the boss fight. I can go back to this as one of the most disappointing boss fights of all time in gaming. Not only was it easy, it was boring, it didn't feel interesting. Like, they've, even in, you know, orcs and other situations, they've made some of the boss fights feel really cool. They really messed up with this. They really did. It was kind of... I'm just going to stick with disappointing. I'm sad because they had such a great established story built up. For it to end in the way that it did was just... It was weak. It honestly and legitimately was. And there were other phases where I felt like they just got lazy and threw things together. There was a moment where, at the very start of the playthrough, you're knocked down to earth, you lose your ghost, you don't have any light, what's going on? And you have like a 4-minute... I wish this was an exaggeration. It's like a 4-minute phase where you're just slow walking. Like, you can't sprint, you can't even normal walk. You're slow walking through a pre-designated path. And, like, the Cabal have taken over the city, but there's no reason for this at all. You're just kind of stumbling around. It's like Drunk Simulator 2017. This was an awesome opportunity. There's Cabal on the bridges and stuff moving around. Why couldn't this have been a stealth phase? Like, I had to hide from them and try to find my ghost. Why was there no trying to earn back the light? I didn't feel like I was trying to earn back the light. And they missed the opportunity with it. Still better than year one, but they got to do better in that area. As for the other PvE experiences, the strikes were very interesting. I like them. Some of them are evolving. They change. I thoroughly enjoyed the strikes, but this also brings us back to another issue. Why do strikes? There are more effective means of earning loot between milestones, even when leveling up. Public events greatly outweighed on the loot side of things than strikes. There's no reason to do strikes. There's no replayability there. Great creations, but no incentive to come back playing them. Same thing that happened. It was a graveyard. It was a ghost town in the original Destiny. It was just because there's no reason to go in there. They need the loot. You need the replayability. Nightfall, on the other hand, some of these are pretty damn challenging. I like the twist. There's now a timer. You're fighting against a timer. So there's no longer sitting back with your snipers and your icebreakers, bitches. You now have to go in there. You play it right. I like the burn rotation. They've done a good job at fixing and amplifying the experience for Nightfall. It actually feels challenging, which is exactly what they needed to utilize. Now, raids. My god, this was their area of strength. Out of all the things that I was disappointed with the original Destiny, the raids were the thing they did great, and they got better as they got on. And Vault of Glass, some of the originals, Krotos, I love those. They were great. But as they started to master their art, they got into telling some really good stories and creating more mechanic-based heavy experiences where teamwork and communication and synergy were above all. It wasn't just about who had the Gjallarhorn. It's now about moving and working as a team, collaborating as one unit. And when you get that together, it's great. It's very punishing. The raids are very difficult for new players. The most difficult to date, in my opinion. And when you get it down and you know how to do it, you could bust it out in an hour or two. It's not a very complex raid. It's just very limited room for failure, which means you guys gotta sync up and do everything just right. And when you get that synergy, when you sync up just right, that's when you get it together, and it feels rewarding. Even when you complete some of the basic activities in the raid, it feels really good. So, full transparency, the PvE side of things has been enhanced. This is definitely one of the areas they improved on, and I think they really nailed it. Again, they need to find some incentives for some of the bigger experiences like strikes. That's a pretty big thing. And it's one of the things that you can kind of go in there and grind, and there's honestly no real reason to grind this. They need to find some sort of incentive for the community. But the activities themselves, gorgeous. Migrating over to the second half of Destiny 2, we're going to talk about the Crucible, aka that PvP, boys. So, guilty as charged, I'm one of those guys that loves PvP. I feel like that's where the replayability in Destiny comes from. I'm not very happy with the loot in the game. We'll talk about that later. But I feel like every Crucible experience varies. And in year 1, it was absolute terrible. Year 2, got worse. 3, snowballed. You see where I'm going with this. I never felt that the game was even playable. I would never recommend my friends to play Crucible with the vanilla Destiny. It was just so bad. There were so many cheesy elements, so many ways to just do one action, push one button to kill people. It was so sloppy. There was no skill. There was no gunplay. It was just cheese, man. It was just cheese. And they needed to fix that going forward, and with the introduction of competitive playlists, so on and so forth, it's clear that they wanted to prioritize PvP. Not necessarily making it more important than PvE, but they wanted to put more time and effort into this. I felt like PvP in the original Destiny was just something extra they put together in just a few months and was like, fuck it, we'll put band-aids on later. It's okay. Get the tape, Tony! And they just kind of put out an unreleased product. This one has a lot more polish on it, and at first glance you're going to look at it and be like, okay, so Destiny 2 is just Destiny 1 Crucible. And I can see where you're coming from, because visually it looks like it. And you have your supers, your hand cannons, your same variety in guns, your abilities. A lot of similarities there. So I can't fault anyone at saying, hey, this looks like the same game. But when you play it, the foundation is entirely different. It feels more like a Halo. It's all about teamwork, rotating, and team shooting. You have the on-map power-ups, which are crucial. It feels like a Halo mixed with a Destiny. So you have all the things from Destiny, like your variety in weapons, your abilities, and then you have the gameplay and flow of Halo experience. Because team shooting's everything. I don't care how good you are, 1v2, you're losing that shit. Maybe if you're lucky, you get one of them. But it is extremely crucial to work together, and that completely changes the flow of the game. It's now about gunplay. Instead of pushing a button and sticking somebody in the face with a grenade, you're now having to earn your kills. The entire flow of Crucible has changed dramatically. It may not seem like it, but it truly is. And I think this is a great thing. This is a healthy thing. It needed to be more about skill and less about just pushing a button and winning. So, good right here. Full transparency though. Being honest, this game, terrible playing by yourself. This absolutely terrible solo queued for a couple of reasons. Number one, you're going to often get matched against other teams. Maybe even a 4-stack, like an entire pre-made group of 4, and you're going to have just a bunch of randoms on your team. This happens, and it's extremely frustrating because if we rewind back to that part where I mentioned team shooting is everything, you're going to get outnumbered. Rather it's your teammates running off, feeding them one at a time, that punishes you. As a player, when your teammates are getting picked, you're now down a guy. And it may not seem like a big a deal, but you get erased when 2 people shoot you at once. You'll be lucky to drop a shield. It just is a steamroll. And this is crazy. The other portion for why it's really hard to play alone is there's so many levers right now. This game is probably the most outrageous in terms of people leaving games. I feel like every game has at least one, if not two people leaving it. And again, going back, if you're down a man, you're going to get punished for it. I don't care how good you are. That's just how strong teamwork and rotations are in this game. And then it's a snowball effect. People are going to keep leaving, and it's really bad in the current state. They need to create and develop some sort of incentive or even a punishment. And I'm not a big fan of punishing people outside the bedroom, of course. And I don't know how they're going to do this. It's not my job to figure this out. I just know it's a problem, and they need to work on it. Whether or not it's, if somebody leaves once, they don't get any loot for the next hour. Leave twice in the same hour window or something, they don't get loot the rest of the day. Something there to deter people from quitting. And like I said, it punishes the other people that are there just trying to play way too much. And I've been guilty. I've left games because it's frustrating. I'm not going to say I'm innocent here. They desperately need a system in play for this. So if you're following me, the foundation is great. The core mechanics, like if you get one buddy with you and you kind of do the buddy up thing, it's an entirely different game. I have fun playing with one friend or 3 or 4 people in a lobby. It's great. Playing alone, don't do it. For your own sanity, safety, don't do it. And this game is a bit more dominant on working with friends. I know a lot of people just like picking up a game and playing for a half hour and putting it down. This game, it's not really giving you that luxury. That's more like a Call of Duty or something. This game is not as easy to pick up and just play for a few minutes because you're going to need to find friends, you're going to need to get in there, and you're going to need to do that. And that's why they've incorporated this new clan system, which I think is a really good addition to the game. I like this. It's actually a really cool thing. I wish other games would adopt this. They're trying to make it work because everything's so teamwork oriented now, and I do applaud them on that effort. It's just going to take a little while for people to realize, hey, it's kind of important to work with other people, not run off and lone wolf in PvP and things like this. Now, another flaw with PvP is games are separated into playlists right now. You have quick play and you have competitive. You can't pick and choose the flavor you're looking for. I can't just hop in and play Control or Clash or Supremacy. I have to pick quick play and then hopefully get the game type I'm wanting. The issue with this, and the same thing applies to competitive, which has both survival and countdown, is you may get game types you don't like, which is also adding to that never-ending opportunity for people to just leave you hanging and abandon the games. But it's just not a healthy thing. Let people pick what they want. People like to be able to decide what they're playing, not to just be thrown in some random experience. This is a bad thing. More importantly, this is a terrible idea for a competitive playlist. Survival is ass. It's so bad. I don't want it. And I do not even queue up in competitive because that exists there. I want to play Countdown. Countdown's cool. Me and Countdown, we're fucking tight. Bah! Survival, fuck off. So, this is kind of a stupid thing. I don't even know why I did that. What? So, getting that aside, pulling your emotional, eat a Snickers. Trials. I love trials. Now, one of the things that they've done is they've put a bit more weight behind connection-based. It's not so much skill-based matchmaking, which is a big thing for me. Because I am one of those people that feel like games should always be fun and casual by default. Like, you should never have to sweat all the time, and that was a big problem in the original Destiny. Something like competitive needs to be a choice. Now, if you want to pop in the game and you want to take it casual, that's your right to do so. But if you want to take it serious and put on sweaty loadouts, you can do that too. But you shouldn't always be forced to do one thing. And Trials kind of is more competitive, just like the competitive playlist. People take that shit serious. So you're going to sweat a bit more, and it's natural. That's what the whole thing is designed for. But it's got great loot, which is now available for everybody. It's not very hard. It's not about getting carried anymore. Because what generally happened in Destiny 1 is people were just doing lighthouse runs. So that top 1%, they would just keep grouping and steamrolling and carrying. People were charging. They were making hundreds and thousands of dollars a week charging and carrying poor guys that just didn't have the skills to get to the lighthouse. And this was just uncalled for. That's exploiting a community, and I think they noticed this. And though there's a lot of people that are disappointed with loot being exclusive for PvP, like more specifically Lighthouse, I think this is a great thing so that it's generally available to everyone. I don't think they should bottleneck that to just the 1, 2, 3% of players that are really good and make the other ones that want to try to experience this kind of struggle. It's not fair. So, and this is coming from a guy that hits flawless like it's nothing. I'm capable and skillful enough to do that. I don't have any issues doing that. I'm glad because this means there's a lot of my friends, and I like the fact that skill-based matchmaking isn't really crucial to the experience right now, which means I can take some of the friends that I just want to into the mix and play. This is a very healthy thing. I was always scared to queue up with other people because they would be matched against people on my level. So not only would they be getting punished, but we would still end up losing because they can't keep up with them. And now I can just play with friends that I want to instead of having to stack a team. And that's a blessing, man. We took that shit for granted. So this is a great thing for Trials, and people are just neglecting that. That's a pretty cool thing now that the community's getting more involved. Overall, they need to work on the levers. They need to have some system in play. Team shooting's everything now. You will learn this, and you'll notice that if you're playing like you did in Destiny 1, you're running around like a headless chicken, you're going to get killed. You lone wolfing doesn't work well in this game any longer. You're going to need to buddy up. So when I'm playing by myself, even solo queued, I will find a blue guy and I will attach to his hip. I'm a fucking leech, and I'm just going to follow him around, and we're going to work together. It's the mindset that you have to have. You may not be happy with this change, but that's how you find success. Buddy system is everything right now. Full teams, that's something they need to fix. I don't like being a solo player matched against 3 and 4 people. That's obnoxious. And of course, we're still dealing with the same situations of last year. It's not near as bad, but lag is still there. I notice it. There's issues and delays on shots. Not so much like the crazy warping. You don't see that too often anymore, but it's still there, and it's important that they fix this. And realistically, it's not going to happen in Destiny 2, but hopefully going forward, especially if they're aiming for a more competitive side, they need to get this done. So the general changes about the game, now that we've talked about both sides of it, I think they really missed the mark with a core experience here. And this is an all-around, thorough RPG experience. The raids are incredible, high-level, in-game experience. You have strikes, which are very similar to things like rifts in Diablo. You have lots of things like this in other RPGs. So it's got all of the bare bones, the experience and foundation that you're used to from RPGs. What it doesn't have is a loot system to match. I feel like this is the one area they went backwards with. Now, if you did not know, all the guns in this game are similar. They're identical to every other one of the same name. Kind of like how exotics were in Destiny 1, how they had all the same perks and nothing was different between them. That's how every gun in this game is now. This is what we in the game like to call taking a step back. This, for me, made no sense. And then I heard about the mods being introduced, and I'm like, okay, so if all the guns are the same, but there were modifications able to be made to them, maybe a flurry of customizations and options, this could be a good thing. And then, basically, we can only put one of them on at a time. So I'm sitting here scratching my head. If we were allotted and had some really cool ones, legendary ones, exotic ones, very valuable ones, this in the loot pool would make it worth grinding strikes. This is what they're going to do, right? That's the only thing that makes sense. Why go backwards? And if I could put 5 different perks on the same gun, I could have one built for reload speed. I could have one for PvE. I could have one for PvP. I could have 3 for PvP. I could have 3 for PvE, 1 for each burn, on top of all the other attributes I wanted to add to it. So there would be a large level of customization there. That could have worked. But here we are, only putting on 1 mod at a time, and most people don't even dick with the mods. Outside of trying to up their light level, they put the legendary ones on. And this is a really missed mark here. They need a proper RPG loot system. I've been saying this since the start of Destiny. You need things to grind for. There are people that are going to play your game like an RPG, and they're going to pump hundreds of hours into it. And they need something to aim for. And that's something that they've always done, is by locking raids behind resets and stuff like this, is because if they were able to just farm this stuff, they'd have everything they needed in the first week. So they're throttling the experience for those that are devoted and love to play and grind by doing this. And I think they just need to enhance their loot system, and hopefully they can do that with the mod system in play. There's still plenty of time to enhance that. They just need to do it. Again, they've done a really good job at weapon job variety too. Like, I really like that I can strap on an auto and find success, pulse, pretty much anything. Even sidearms kick ass. What? Yeah, they do. So there's some really creative stuff they've put together, and I'm really happy with the overall loot itself. Not the system, like the fact that I can't collect and upgrade and have room for improvements, but the guns and the items and the variety itself, they did a really good job at this. And for PvP and for PvE, I use autos now, I use all kinds of things. Like, I have options, and that's a very healthy thing. So that's pretty much the end of the video, guys. They've done a great job with the bounties, upgrading the milestones. You guys are going to find out more about that, but the story was solid, the experience itself was kind of meh. PvE is in a great place. Raids are getting better and better every release. PvP is definitely in a more stable foundation. Of course, if you issues left over like your lag and stuff like that. And when you get your mind around adapting to this new playstyle of working as a team and moving as like a buddy system, things are going to get easier for you. But it is an entirely different Crucible experience, and it's just practicing and understanding how it works, and you're going to find success with it. And I really like a lot of things they've done with the loot system. Obviously, I feel like it needs improvements in some areas. But overall, Destiny 2, it makes me happy. I get my frustrations like I do with any game, but this is a good start, and there's nowhere but up from here. So I'm happy to announce that I fully endorse Destiny 2. I feel like you should pick it up. PC's coming out soon, and it oh my goodness, it's so damn good on PC. And if you haven't, and you were hesitant, maybe this is your kind of thing. Maybe give it a second chance. Destiny 1 really disappointed me. Knowing what I know now, I would have never recommended it. Destiny 2 is definitely miles ahead of the original. So that's it, guys. What the hell are you still doing here? It's got some problems, okay? Some things it needs to work out. Overall, plus, some good stuff going on here. Try it out. Pick it up. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. If you've made it this far, I want to thank you. I appreciate you supporting this channel. Hopefully we'll see you around. Subscribe. Stay tuned. I got some more stuff in the pipeline for you.